Hi loves, in this tutorial today you'll be learning how to cut and sew a two-step 720-degree peplum flare. So here are the necessary materials you'll be needing. I have my peplum stay and I have my Ankara print. I also have my lining, which I didn't show on camera. I have my scissors on top of the table, my chalk, my marker, and then this paper which I'm going to be using to mark out all the measurements. Now, because we want to fold and not waste our fabric, we are going to be calculating, okay? So my round waist measurement, which is where I want the peplum to stay, is 39 inches. I'm going to add 1 because of my zipper allowance. So that makes it 40 inches. Now, because we are cutting out a 720-degree flare, which is 2 full circle, I'm going to be dividing it by 2. So I divided the round circumference by 2 and it gave me 20 inches. Now, to find the radius of a circle, you're going to divide the circumference by 6.28. Okay, the 6.28 is pi, which is constant. So I'm going to divide this 20 by 6.28 and it will give me 3.1 inches. Now for the length of my peplum, I'm going to be using 8 inches. Now I'm going to sum these 8 inches into 3.1 inches radius, and that would give me 11.1 inches. So this 11.1 inches is for the length and then the radius. So I've succeeded in finding the amount of fabric which I'm going to be folding. Okay, so this will help me not to waste my fabric. So here is the fabric I'm going to be using. Now I'm going to fold my fabric into 8. You know, to cut out a full circle, you are folding into 4. But now to cut out 2 full circle, because it is 720-degree peplum, I'm going to be folding into 8 because I want to cut out the 2 at once. So I folded my fabric into 8, and then you guys, I'm going to place my tape on the pointy parts, okay, and then check that I have 11.1 inches. So you can see that lengthwise I have 11.1 inches, and in width I also have 11.1 inches. Now I'm going to place back my tape on the pointy parts, and first of all I'm going to mark out 3.1 inches for the radius. Okay, now after marking it all around, I'm going to go ahead and connect it properly. All right, and then from that 3.1 inches mark, I'm going to mark out 8 inches for the length of my peplum. So I'm going to keep marking it out as I go like this. Can you see what I am doing? It is actually very simple. Now if you don't want to mark it out like this, you can as well place your tape on the pointy parts and mark out both the 3.1 inches and 8 inches length simultaneously. I hope you guys understand. So after marking it out, first of all I'm going to cut out the length. Okay, please ensure that you are holding your fabric properly, or make use of your pins to hold it down so that it wouldn't shift while you are trying to cut out. If not, it is going to make your peplum unequal. So I'm trying to trim out some excesses, and then after that I'm going to cut out the radius. So you can see after this I have my 2 big peplum. So this is the bigger one, and then I'm going to bring in my lining, also fold it into 8 and cut it out. Okay, so I folded into 2, now into 4, and then into 8. Okay, so guys, I'm going to make sure that the totally folded parts on the actual fabric faces the totally folded parts on the lining. Okay, and then the 2 parts which is partially open faces each other. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the radius first, and after that I will go ahead and cut out the length. So you can see that exactly what I have on the actual fabric is what I'm cutting out on the lining. Okay, so that is that for the biggest and the longest one. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up so that you guys can see. So can you see that we have 2 pieces for the lining and then 2 pieces for the actual fabric? So now it is time for us to cut the second peplum. Remember that the length of the first one is 8 inches. So now this 8 inches, I'm going to minus 2 inches from it to get the length of the second peplum, which is the short one. one. Okay, this means that the difference between the two peplum, which is the short and the longer one, is 2 inches. Now I'm going to plus in 3.1 inches radius into it, and it gives me 9.1 inches. So what happens here is that the radius becomes the same, only the length changes. Now I'm going to fold my fabric into it, just like I folded for the longer one. I am going to fold the same way for the shorter one. They are all the same radius, but the only difference is the length. Okay, so I've folded, and now I'm going to cross check that I have lengthwise 9.1 inches, and then for the width 9.1 inches. So you can see now I'm going to place my tape on the pointy part and mark out 3.1 inches for the radius. Now after marking it out, I'm going to go ahead and connect it. And then after connecting it, I'm going to place my tape on this 3.1 inches line and then mark out the length. So the length is 6 inches. I'm going to mark it all around, just like you can see me doing like this. And after that, I'm going to connect it properly and then cut out the length first of all before cutting out the radius. Okay, just like I said, if you don't know how to hold this while you cut, go ahead and make use of your pins to hold it down. Okay, so after cutting that of the length, I went ahead to cut out the radius, and that is that for the short flare. Okay, now I'm going to cut the same thing on the lining parts. So here is my lining. I'm going to fold again into it and then place in the actual fabric and then cut exactly what I have on the actual fabric, making sure that the totally folded parts, okay, aligns with that part of the lining, and then the partially open part aligns with that of the lining. I hope you understand. So now I've cut out the radius and I'm going to cut out the length. So guys, I am done. Let me open it up so that you guys can see. I have 2 pieces also and 2 pieces for the actual fabric. Now that we are done cutting out both the short one and the long one, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and bring in my fusible interface, move over to the ironing table, and I'll be ironing it on both the lining parts and the actual fabric. Okay, now guys, the peplum stay I have wasn't enough, so what I used right here was the tissue stay, okay, the soft type of the fusible interface. So I went ahead to gum it on both the actual fabric and the lining. So here it is. I'm going to now move over to the ironing table and then iron it into this. Okay, now I am done, and yeah, let me raise it up so that you guys can see. This is what it looks like. This is the actual piece. Okay, so now let me show you how to cut this so that you won't have your joining right at the center. Okay, so that is the purpose of slashing it like this. So for one part of this big one, I'm going to slash into 2. Can you see, following the middle parts? And then for the other one, I'm just going to slash once. Can you see? So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and place in one of the 2 pieces into this side. I'm going to use my pin to hold it. Okay, then after holding this part, I'm going to take the other one and place to the other side, and then I'll go ahead and hold it. Okay, so this will help you not to have like a line at the middle of your flare. So guys, I am done with that one. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the shorter one. So whatever it is I did for the longer one, I'm going to do the same thing for the shorter one. Okay, so I've slashed the shorter one into 2. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other one, you can see, and then I'll place it in like this. Use my pins to hold it. Okay, now I'll also place the other one, use my pins to hold it, and then I will also repeat the same thing for the lining. So I am done, and I've equally gone ahead to stitch it up on the sewing machine using 1/2 inch. So you can see how long this is looking right now, and you can see how wavy it is already. Now I'm going to notch the middle of each of my peplum, both the lining and the actual fabric. Can you see what I'm doing? So here is the lining for the longer one. I'm going to notch, and then after that, now it is time for us to turn the actual fabric with the lining. So to turn it, you're going to ensure that the middle of each of it matches up together, and then use your pin to hold it down in place. So I'm going to pin up from the middle to one end of the peplum, and then I will also pin from the middle to the other end. Now after pinning them, I'll go over to my sewing machine and stitch it using 1/2 inch. And after my first stitch, I would top stitch, okay, and the top stitch should go towards the lining side. All right, so guys, you can see I am done with turning with the lining, and I've done this for both the longer peplum and the shorter peplum. Okay, now it is time for us to fix the both peplum together. So the shorter peplum should go on top the longer peplum, as you can see. So I'm going to pin it all around, flowing the middle parts. Okay, can you see what I'm doing? And after pinning it, I will go over to my sewing machine and match it up. Okay, and then after that, I'll go ahead and fix it into the waist of my half length, okay, or whatever it is that you want to fix yours. So guys, this will bring us to the end of this tutorial. I'll be showing you the final look of this peplum on the mannequin. So here it is. If you find this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it so that more people can get to see it. And you guys, I'll definitely see you in my next tutorial. Bye.